You open Instagram, late at night. Just for a few minutes, that's what you tell yourself. You start scrolling. First video, someone is angry, shouting at someone. And instantly, you think, what's wrong with this person? Next video, someone is quiet, not smiling, not talking much. You think, they have attitude. Another video, someone showing their success, their lifestyle. You think, they're fake. It all happens so fast, you don't even notice it. You didn't stop. You didn't think. You just decided. And in a few seconds, you created a full image of who they are. But here's the problem. You didn't really understand them. You just saw one moment. One situation. One reaction. That's it. But your mind doesn't stay there. It takes that one moment and turns it into a full personality. He is toxic. She is rude. They are fake. And once that label is created, you stop questioning it. It starts feeling real. It feels like you understand them. But you don't. You are just seeing a small piece, and your brain is filling the rest. Automatically. Because your brain doesn't like missing information. It doesn't like not knowing. So it creates a quick answer. A fast story, so you can move on. So you can feel sure. But that, feeling sure, is often wrong. Very wrong. Because people are not just one moment. They are not just one reaction. There is always something behind it. Something you didn't see. Something you don't know. But your brain ignores that. It chooses speed over truth. And the more you do this, the more natural it feels. You start believing, this is how you understand people. But in reality, you are just guessing. And the dangerous part is, you don't even realize it. You trust your judgment. You feel confident about it, even when you have almost no information. Now think about this. If you decide who people are, in just a few seconds, without knowing their story, without seeing the full picture, then are you really understanding people? Or are you just believing the first story your mind creates? Because this is where everything begins. The problem is not what people do. The problem is how fast you decide what it means. And once you see that, you can't ignore it. Because now the question is not, why do people act like this? The real question is, why do you decide so fast, when you don't even know the full truth? You're still scrolling, and suddenly, you see a comment. Someone is rude, aggressive, disrespectful. And instantly, you think, what a bad person. It feels obvious. It feels correct. But stop for a second. Do you know what happened before that comment? No. Do you know what that person is going through? No. Do you know their situation? No. You only saw one moment. That's it. But your brain doesn't stop there. It can't. Because your brain hates not knowing. It hates gaps. So it does something very fast. It fills the gap. It takes that one small action and creates a full story around it. He is toxic. She is insecure. They are like this. But that's not truth. That's a guess. A fast guess. And your brain is built to do this. Not to understand deeply, but to decide quickly. Because in the past, speed was more important than accuracy. Your brain learned to react fast. To judge fast. To decide fast. Even if it's wrong. And today, you are still using that same system. On social media. In conversations. In real life. You see something small, and your brain completes the picture. Without asking you. Without checking if it's true. And the worst part? You trust it. You believe your thoughts, as if they are facts. But they are not. They are just quick conclusions. Made to save time, not to find truth. Now think about this. If your brain is always trying to be fast, and not always trying to be right, then how many times have you misunderstood people? How many times have you judged someone without knowing their full story? And how many times did it feel completely true, even when it wasn't? Because this is the real problem. You don't see people as they are. You see them through the shortcuts of your mind. And those shortcuts are not always accurate. They are just easy. And once you start noticing this, everything begins to change. Because now the question is not, why did they act like that? The real question is, how often is your brain wrong, while making you feel completely right? You send a message, and wait for a reply. A few minutes pass. Then you see it. Just one word. Okay. And instantly, something changes inside you. It feels cold. It feels distant. You think, they don't care. They are ignoring me. But pause for a second. Did they actually say that? No. They just said, okay. Nothing more. Nothing less. But your mind didn't stop there. It added meaning. Fast. Because your brain doesn't like silence. It doesn't like not knowing what something means. So it fills the gap. It takes a small action and creates a full story. Based on your past. Your experiences. Your fears. If you've been ignored before, you feel ignored again. If you've been disrespected before, you feel disrespected again. But this time, it may not even be real. Someone replies late, you think they don't value you. Someone stays quiet, you think they have attitude. Someone disagrees, you think they are against you. But maybe, they are just busy. Or tired. Or thinking. You don't know. But your brain decides anyway. And once it decides, it feels true. It feels personal. It feels real. But it's not always real. It's your interpretation. Your mind is taking your inner world and placing it on other people. Without asking. Without checking. You are not just reacting to them, you are reacting to what they trigger inside you. And that changes everything. Because now, you are not seeing the person clearly. You are seeing a version, created by your own mind. Which means every time you judge someone, you might not be describing them at all. You might be revealing yourself. Your fears. Your expectations. Your past. All of it, hidden inside your judgment. And once you see this, it becomes uncomfortable. Because now the question is not, why are they acting like this? The real question is, how much of what you see in others is actually coming from you? You send a message, and keep checking your phone. Once. Twice. Again. No reply. Minutes pass, and slowly, your mood starts to change. You feel ignored. You feel unimportant. And without even noticing, your thoughts begin. They don't care. I said something wrong. They are avoiding me. But stop for a second. Did anything actually happen? No. Nothing changed in reality. There is just no reply. That's it. But inside your mind, a lot is happening. Because your brain is not reacting to the situation. It's reacting to a trigger. Something small, something invisible. A delay. A silence. A small action. And that small thing activates something deeper inside you. A memory. A past experience. A feeling you've had before. Maybe you've been ignored before. Maybe you felt unimportant before. And now, your brain connects this moment to that old feeling. And suddenly, your reaction becomes strong. Not because of what is happening now, but because of what happened before. This is how most reactions work. Someone raises their voice, you feel attacked. Someone disagrees, you feel disrespected. Someone stays quiet, you feel ignored. But these reactions are not random. They are patterns, triggered automatically. Your brain sees something familiar, and runs the same response again. Fast. Without asking you. And by the time you notice it, you are already inside the reaction. Feeling it. Believing it. As if it is real. But many times, it is not about the present moment. It is about the past, repeating itself. And this is where things get complicated. Because now, you are not just reacting to people. You are reacting to what they trigger inside you. And every person can trigger something different. Which means, behavior is not simple. It is layered. It has depth, it has history behind it. And if you don't see those hidden triggers, everything looks confusing. People look unpredictable. But once you start noticing this, something changes. You begin to see beyond the action. Beyond the reaction. You start asking a different question. Not, what did they do? But, what did this situation trigger inside them? And that is where real understanding begins. Because now the question is not, why did they react like that? The real question is, what inside them was triggered, that made them react this way? You're talking to someone, and they say something small. Just one sentence. Nothing serious. But suddenly, your tone changes. Your face gets tense. Your voice becomes sharp. And before you even realize, you've already reacted. Later, you think, why did I say that? I didn't mean to react like that. But it already happened. So what really happened in that moment? Did you choose that reaction? Or did it just happen on its own? Because most of the time, you are not choosing how you respond. You are reacting. Fast. Automatic. Your brain hears something, connects it to a past experience, and sends a response instantly. No pause. No thinking. No choice. And then, you justify it. They were wrong. They deserved it. That's just how I am. But that's not the full truth. Because that reaction did not start in that moment. It started much earlier. In your past. Something similar happened before. Your brain stored it. And now, it is replaying it. Again. In a new situation. With a different person. But the same pattern. Which means something important is happening. You think you are reacting to the present, but you are actually repeating the past. Over and over again, and the more you repeat it, the stronger it becomes. Faster. More automatic. Until one day, it feels like your personality. This is just who I am. But what if it's not? What if your reactions are not your personality, but just patterns your brain learned? Patterns you didn't choose, but keep repeating. And if that is true, then something powerful becomes possible. Because patterns can be changed. But only if you see them. Because right now, you are not just reacting to people, you are reacting on autopilot. Without even knowing it. And that leads to a deeper question. If most of your reactions are automatic, then when do you actually choose how to behave? You're about to reply to a message. You read it once. Then again. Something inside you reacts. You feel the urge to reply fast. To explain. To defend. To say something back. Your fingers move. You start typing. But pause for a second. Right before you send that message, there is a moment. A very small moment. So small, you almost never notice it. A gap. Between what you feel, and what you do next. It's always there. But most of the time, you miss it. Because your brain moves fast. Faster than your awareness. Before you can think, the reaction has already started. The thought appears, the emotion rises, the action follows. And just like that, the moment is gone. You've already reacted. Again. But if you slow down, just a little, you will see something different. That reaction was not instant. There was a space. A pause. Where nothing had happened yet. Where you had not responded yet. And in that space, you had a choice. But you didn't see it. Because your brain filled it. With thoughts. With urgency. With noise. Reply now. Say something. Don't stay quiet. And you followed it. Automatically. This is why it feels like you have no control. Because by the time you notice, the reaction is already done. But control does exist. It just doesn't exist where you are looking. It does not exist after the reaction. It exists before it. Inside that gap. That small moment, where you can either react, or pause. And that changes everything. Because if you can see that gap, you can slow things down. You can step back. You can choose differently. But this is where it becomes difficult. Because staying in that gap feels uncomfortable. There is no habit to follow. No automatic response. No clear direction. Just silence. And a decision. And most people avoid that moment. They rush through it. Back into the pattern. Back into automatic reactions. Because it feels easier. But if that gap is the only place where control exists, and you keep missing it, then something becomes clear. You are not out of control. You are just not aware of the only moment where control is possible. And that leads to the next question. If the gap is where control exists, how do you stay in it long enough to actually use it? You feel it again, that same moment. You read a message, and something inside you reacts. A thought appears. An emotion rises. And right after that, comes the urge. To reply fast. To prove your point. To say something back. It feels strong. Almost automatic. But this time, you notice it. That small gap. That tiny pause, between what you feel, and what you are about to do. And for a moment, everything slows down. You can see the thought forming. You can feel the emotion building. You can sense the reaction, before it happens. And now, you have a choice. Not a big one. Not something dramatic. A simple choice. Do you react the same way, or do something different? This is the moment most people avoid. Not because they don't understand it, but because it feels uncomfortable. There is no habit to follow. No pattern to rely on. No automatic answer. Just you, and a decision. And your brain doesn't like that. It wants speed. It wants certainty. It wants the familiar reaction. So it pushes you. Reply now. Don't stay quiet. Say what you always say. And if you follow that voice, the pattern continues. Again. Same reaction. Same result. Nothing changes. But if you don't, if you stay in that moment, something different happens. You break the pattern. Even if it's just once. Even if it's just a small change. It matters. Because every time you choose differently, you weaken the old reaction. And the more you do that, the less control it has over you. But here's the hard part. Choosing differently feels wrong at first. It feels slow. It feels unnatural. Almost like you are going against yourself. And in a way, you are. You are going against the version of you your brain has been repeating for years. And that creates resistance. Doubt. Discomfort. But that discomfort is not a bad sign. It is a signal. A signal that something is changing. That you are no longer reacting automatically. That you are starting to see clearly. And that is where real control begins. Not when things are easy, but when you choose differently, even when it feels hard. But even this is not enough. Because breaking one reaction doesn't remove the pattern. It is still there. Waiting. Ready to come back. Which leads to a deeper question. If patterns don't disappear instantly, how do you stop them from taking over again next time? You tell yourself, next time, I will not react. You feel ready. You feel in control. But then, the same situation happens again. Same tone. Same words. Same trigger. And before you even realize, you react. The same way. Again. Later, you think, why did I do that again? I knew this would happen. So what went wrong? You tried to stop a pattern, but you didn't replace it. And your brain doesn't work like that. It doesn't like empty space. If you remove a reaction, and don't give it a new one, it goes back to the old. Automatically. Because that's what it knows. That's what it has practiced, again and again. Which means something important is happening. You are not just dealing with behavior, you are dealing with patterns. Strong patterns. Built over time. Every time you reacted in a certain way, your brain made it easier. Faster. More automatic. Until now, it happens without effort. Without thinking. So stopping it once is not enough. Because the pattern is still there. Waiting for the next trigger. Ready to run again. But real change works differently. You don't fight the old pattern. You replace it. You create a new response. A different way to react. And then, you repeat it, again. And again. And again. Until it becomes natural. Until it becomes automatic. Just like the old one. At first, it feels difficult. Slow. Uncomfortable. Because your brain is still wired for the old reaction. But slowly, something changes. The new response becomes easier. The old one becomes weaker. And over time, control starts to come back. Not because you are forcing it, but because you are training your mind. And this is where most people stop. Because they expect fast results. They try once or twice, and give up. But patterns don't change that fast. They need repetition. They need patience. They need awareness. But even after you start changing your patterns, there is still one more problem. Because your brain has one main job. To protect you. To keep you safe. And sometimes, that protection becomes the reason you stay stuck. Which leads to the next question. If your brain is trying to protect you, how do you know when to listen to it, and when to go against it? You are about to do something new. Maybe post something online. Maybe speak your opinion. Maybe try something different. And right before you do it, your mind steps in. Wait. What if this goes wrong? What will people think? It sounds logical. It sounds like you are being careful. But look closer. This is not just logic. This is protection. Your brain is trying to keep you safe. Safe from failure. Safe from rejection. Safe from feeling uncomfortable. And that sounds like a good thing. Until you see the other side. Because the same voice that protects you, also stops you. Stops you from speaking. Stops you from trying. Stops you from changing. And the worst part? It feels like your own decision. I'm not ready. This is not the right time. I will do it later. But most of the time, that's not clarity. That's fear. Hidden inside logic. Your brain is very smart. It doesn't force you. It doesn't shout. It whispers. Just enough to pull you back. Back to what is familiar. Back to what feels safe. Back to the same patterns. And if you keep listening to it, your life becomes smaller. More controlled. More predictable. But also, more limited, because growth does not happen in comfort. It happens in uncertainty. In moments where you are not sure. In moments your brain tries to avoid. And this is where the real conflict begins. Because now, you have two paths. One that feels safe. And one that helps you grow. And you cannot choose both at the same time. If you always choose safety, you stay the same. If you choose growth, you feel uncomfortable. There is no easy option. And this is the part most people avoid. They choose comfort. Again. And again. Until it becomes their life. But once you see this clearly, you cannot ignore it, because now the question changes. It is no longer, is this safe? The real question becomes, is this helping me grow, or just keeping me comfortable? And once you start asking that, everything begins to shift. Because now, you are no longer blindly following your mind. You are starting to question it. And that is where real change begins. But even this leads to one final realization. Because understanding your mind is not the same as controlling it. Which leads to the final question. Now that you can see how your mind works, will you follow it like before? Or will you start choosing differently? Right now, you understand everything. The patterns. The triggers. The reactions. It all makes sense. You can see it clearly. How your mind works. How it reacts. How it controls your behavior. But here's the truth, understanding is not enough. You can watch this whole video, agree with every word, and still, go back to the same life. Same reactions. Same habits. Same patterns. Because your mind does not change with information. It changes with action. And that action does not happen here. Not while you're watching. It happens later. In a real moment. When someone triggers you. When your mind reacts. When the pattern starts again. That moment is where everything is decided. Not your knowledge. Not your intention. But your choice. Do you pause or react? Do you stay aware or fall back? Do you choose differently or repeat the same pattern? And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people already know this. But they don't act. They watch. They understand. And then, they forget. They go back. Back to scrolling. Back to reacting. Back to autopilot. And nothing changes. Not because they can't change, but because they don't choose to. In that one moment, when it actually matters. And now, you are at that point. You've seen it. You understand it. You cannot say, I didn't know. Because now you do. Which means, you've lost your excuse. And this is where it becomes real. Because now, it's on you. Not your mind. Not your past. You. Every reaction. Every decision. Every moment. You either stay the same, or you change. There is no middle. And the difference is not knowledge. It is awareness in action. So the next time, you feel that trigger, that urge, that automatic reaction starting, remember this. There is a gap. A small moment, where you can choose. And that moment, can change everything. If you use it. And if this video made you see something new, if it made you question your own mind, then don't stop here. Because this is just the beginning. There is more to understand. More to see. More to change. And if you leave now, you will slowly forget all of this. But if you stay connected, you will start to see things differently. So don't just watch. Stay. Learn. And change. Because now the final question is not about your mind, it's about you. Will you go back to your old patterns, or will you finally take control of them?